Ladies and gentlemen, before we commence the service, could you please check your mobiles have been switched off or turned to mute, or so there's no interruption, this quiet time that we are about to have. Good afternoon and welcome to the celebration service of John Geuernich. My name is Bev Battams. I got the surname right, I got the nod. I'm the funeral celebrant and it's my privilege to conduct the service today. As you are aware, a beloved husband, a much-loved father and pa, and great friend has been lost to you. And I ask you all to feel free to be at one with your sorrow, sadness, gladness, your grief and your memories. Perhaps grief is a new experience to you, or perhaps you have encountered it more than once. Each experience is different. The journey of grief never ends, but it changes over time for each of us. This love and friendship you've had with John can never be altered by circumstances, time, or even by death. Henry Scott Holland explains, as if John was speaking to you today, I have only slipped away into the next room. I am I, you are you. Whatever we were to each other, we still are. Call me by my familiar name. Speak to me as you always used to. Laugh as we've always laughed at the little jokes we've always enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me. Let my name be always the household word that it ever was. Let it be spoken without effect, without the trace of a shadow on it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. Why should I be out of mind because I'm out of sight? I'm waiting for you, for an interval, somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well. We will now have the candle ceremony, and I light this candle in memory of John's life. Let this candle symbolise all human life. A candle is a fragile flame, and it can be extinguished by a gust of wind. A candle has its allotted span to burn, so a human life has its allotted span to live. Yet when it burns for a short span or a long span of time, it radiates light and heat. As flame kindles flame, life begets life. The glow and heat, the passion of life are passed on. So long after the candle is extinguished or consumed, the fire of life and love still burns. Though the flame of John's life has been extinguished, your memory's eye still sees him, hears his voice, and your mind remembers the uniqueness of his personality. Let this candle also be a flame of peace and presence of God that surrounds us. In death we are not alone, as the great God of love watches over our days in life, so he cares for us in death. And now I would like to bring the eulogy, and then in turn I invite Loretta Kay, John's daughter, Loretta Marie, and then a family friend, Rose, to come forward. John was born in Cologne, Germany on the 8th of February 1931 to parents Peter and Matilda. He was one of twins. The other boy was Heinz. Then another set of twins, Liesl and Peter. Anna Marie and Matilda deceased. John married Loretta Kay on the 12th of February 1996, and the family became 6, with John's daughters Loretta Marie and Tamara deceased, and Loretta Kay's children, Joanne deceased, John and Peter. 3 grandchildren were added from Joanne. They are Daniel, Liam and Callum. But now let's go back to John's early life. John had lovely memories, and one in which he was very proud was the fact that he sang in the Cologne Cathedral, which is the largest Gothic church in Northern Europe. He sang in the choir. At age 14, John was made to wear a German uniform and thrust into military service, but didn't see war because he was too young. His father, Peter, was reprimanded for saying to a soldier, "I only serve one God." John studied to become an engineer in Germany during the time of 1945-1953, and this helped him gain employment here in Australia. Another memory he reminisced on several occasions was the time, 5 minutes he reckoned, that he steered the famous Orient Express. Not many of us can boast that one. In 1954, John, following his brother who came a few years beforehand, arrived in Australia on the Fair Star. John, aged 23, was an avid reader and taught himself to speak English on the boat. He spoke well, but one mishap was when he was at a dinner party. He enjoyed the evening immensely, but not knowing all the words, he said to the hostess, "Thank you for your hostility," instead of hospitality. Whoops. John worked in several jobs, including the Everington Railways. He worked as a barman and for many years with the Advertiser and in the SA lotteries. He also ran a nursery and a juice bar over time. John, with Loretta Kay, loved dancing at the German and Dutch clubs in the early days. But later in life, he proved to be an avid gardener, propagating flowers from cuttings. He was always busy, either gardening, cooking, reading or fishing. But he found great fascination in looking through old and new atlases, checking out details of countries and wanting to share what he had found. Travel was another thing he liked to do. John wanted to travel overseas, but Loretta couldn't go in a plane, so they travelled all over Australia. Sydney was one special trip, travelling on the Indian Pacific, over and back. Amongst so many attractions, they visited the Opera House. As John couldn't climb stairs, Loretta and friend toured inside, leaving John to walk around the outside. The Rocks area with its historical background intrigued John, and of course, the markets. John was also a member of the Moonshurst Senior Citizens and enjoyed his fortnight bingo. The highlight of his year was cooking the sausage sizzle for all the very friendly ladies at Weight Watchers on Australia Day. Now I invite John's daughter, Loretta Marie, and then family friend Rose to come forward to read their tributes. Do you have a piece from me? And also we have another person to speak, which is so lovely. Her name is Vicky, but Loretta, would you come forward?
Thanks, Matt. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming and being here with us. And I just want to acknowledge that I'm standing on Narungga land, and that this is Sorry Day is not wasted on me. I'm so aware that Dad could have been a kid who was taken away, and because of great fortune he was somehow able to stay with his family.
I'm sorry, I can hear you.
So as Bev mentioned the other day, Kay and I were talking about the three big themes in Dad's life, and Bev, you mentioned those as well, and really they were gardening, cooking and fishing. And apart from work and family, these were constants just throughout his whole life, like back to my earliest memories. And they were these three big ways of connecting and nourishing and nurturing both himself and others. And he could just grow anything and multiply it 50 or 100-fold. And as Bev mentioned, he worked as a head nurseryman, and he said that while he was doing that job, which he loved so much, he read up on everything there was to know. And a couple of years ago, there were pots of ferns, beautiful ferns, everywhere in Kay and Dad's backyard. And he said that they had grown from a tiny little fern the size of a fingernail that he had spotted in a log somewhere, and he'd taken it, and then there's this whole flourishing of garden from that. One hydrangea led to 50 or 100 pots, and over the years he would take these to the Christmas market for the senior citizens and give them to loved ones as well. For about 7 years, every time I called, and Kay'd say, well, Dad's down at the office. So the office was the Port Vincent jetty, where he was also fondly remembered there as the squid master. Again, prolific amounts of fish and squid were caught, prepared and generously shared over the years. Whilst the mullet roll mops didn't quite cut it after the first few jars, there was always plenty of generosity. I received a fishing rod for my 5th birthday, and 10 days later was out in the 40-degree sun pulling in double headers with Dad at Port Vincent, and that was the beginning of many years of fishing for us. And I was also remembering sometimes he'd take me to Snowdon's Beach on the Port River, and I remember one day we'd had some great time fishing and a bit of lunch, and we laid down. And we didn't wake up till we felt the waves lapping at our toes, and looked up and saw our tackle box, a few metres away. And I think Dad only just, chest deep water, managed to retrieve it. And Dad was a fabulous cook. As when I was a kid, he made all the jams, preserves, stewed fruit, gravies, soups and juices. He was a really intuitive cook he used recipes as a guidance, and somehow he's just able to make simple things taste just fabulous. And come to think of it, I can't actually remember him cooking anything that wasn't really delicious and nourishing. He wasn't discriminatory with his choices, though. He was happy to spend hours over a single soup or pot, but equally enthusiastic about packaged and tinned foods, as anyone like us who had taken time to peer into Dad and Kay's pantry can pay testament to. So everything from Vesta dinners in the 70s and 80s to very complex and layered things. And again, he was always so generous. Auntie Jilly, a long-time friend of Dad's, said to me the other day, she said, "Oh, Pet," she said, "your Dad would always send us home with something." And she said, "Sometimes you didn't quite know what it was, but," she said, "it was always good." So through these three things, not only did we all receive much, but we got reminded of what it meant to care well, to tend to things, to nourish things, cultivate things, and then share it with others, creating community through generosity and care. Dad could strike up a conversation with anyone, anywhere. He had a tremendous love of learning, which you mentioned, Bev, and his insatiable curiosity would make him a great friend because he was always interested in whoever he spoke to. He used to talk global politics and history with Woody, wine and seafood and the best beers with Minnie and Rose, dogs and dog behaviour with Yvonne. Like, he was just able to have a good conversation with anyone. He lived an incredible life, as we heard, in some ways, almost like three lives. And there are so many things we could speak about with Dad's life. Running away at age 11 in the middle of a fierce war and having half the country looking out for him. The skinny little German kid on the Italian ship on the way over who won the spaghetti eating competition, working in working in so many different jobs here. We heard some of them, and additionally the Snowy Mountains scheme, head bar person, all sorts of things. Amazing. He contributed, like many migrants, so much to this community and society. And then the challenge of having a very ill child and losing both Tammy and Joanne in later years, such a big thing to go through. And I think you don't go through all of these things without some fallout. And Dad's life, I think, was incredible in that he never created harm to anyone else. So, no time in my childhood or teenage years or these years have I ever witnessed him creating any sort of harm for anyone else. And after having experienced so many strong experiences in his own life, I think that's a really incredible thing. But he had a few quirks, as we've heard a few, and one of them was he had about 30 bricks that someone had given him, and he spent years rearranging those in different configurations and serving different purposes in the backyard. Or he'd often be the one awake in the wee hours of the morning, and so he'd rearrange all the pantry with all the large things at the back and beautifully ordered. So he'd come out in the morning but couldn't find anything for your breakfast or your lunch. He thought he was being helpful. Or more recently, having 4 bread makers going at the same time. And that then became the vehicle for his great generosity, even though sometimes as those loaves of bread did pile up in your freezer at home. And Dad had a tremendous sense of humour, probably most appreciated by his younger brother Peter, who roared with laughter at his jokes. But one had to assume, with a little bit of sadness, that probably some things do get lost in translation. And I just want to finish by saying I reckon the last 30 years have been the happiest in Dad's life. His ability to love and not do harm was received and returned through his life with Loretta Kay. He had a lot of fun. Great trips, plenty of daring, including moving to the country at age 70 and building a house, I'm not sure what age, 7, 8 years later. Amazing. And really good friends, great local community, a sense of belonging and active participation, and knowing that he was really loved. And I think Dad really inherited from his parents and forebearers, perhaps all the way back to that old Roman field marshal Geuenicus. And if anyone wants to know about Geuenicus, just ask Minnie, Yvonne, Rose, Loretta Kay or myself, and we will tell you about Geuenicus, because we were told about 360 times over 3 years about Geuenicus. And ever since childhood, whenever I stray from like my better self, I always hear Dad's voice of like, all he would say is, "Oh, that's not very nice." Like just encouraging us to be our best self. And the other day after Dad's passing, I was really thinking about, you know, how when someone passes away, I always feel like the invitation to us is then to take whatever we found, you know, inspiring about that person's life, to take that forward and keep it alive in ourselves and through our actions. And I was thinking about Dad and Loretta Kay, and in these times of so much uncertainty and so much confusion and loneliness for so many people, that what they really reminded me, and I think all of us, was about what it means to really love and appreciate your partner. And of course not in a marriage and a long marriage, everything's not always and simple, but I saw them really living out those qualities of deep care and respect and tending of each other. And yeah, I reckon this is our gift, their gift to us, and this is something we could take forward and keep alive with our significant others. And as we know, sometimes our significant other is not a human other. So, you know, that sense of appreciation and care and tending and kindness, we could take that forward and really appreciate those others in our life. And yeah, as Dad and Kay always say, don't let things go unresolved, and make time for enjoying each other and our precious human lives and our beautiful world. And don't stop learning new things. So thank you so much. And I think Vicky, you're going to... Rose, sorry. Thank you, Rose.
Welcome everyone, and I'm sure you've seen me at bingo, helping Val, especially with John, getting the numbers correct. Anyway, I didn't win anything, Val did, she always won. Where do I start? Well, with Kay, because I've known Kay for a very long time, and when she met John, she was my closest and best friend. So we're going back she met John nearly 30 years ago. So I gave up trying to get onto the telephone to speak with her because John phoned her every night and the conversation went for 2 to 3 hours, and I had to go to bed so that I could go to work next day. But anyway... they really reminded me of The Young and the Restless, but then it became more of The Bold and the Beautiful. So I've never seen either show, but anyway. Yeah, as I said, they spoke for 2 to 3 hours. Anyway, John and Kay shared a love few people ever experience. And fighting to get to the toaster in the morning while they're having their daily hug and I love yous, and my toast burning while I'm trying to get around them, was really nearly set that alarm off many a time. But it was beautiful. It really was, because it was so genuine and caring. This wonderful man gave my lovely friend a quality of life that she had never experienced before: support, understanding, respect, which you also said, Loretta. And that just made her life whole. And I thank this wonderful man for giving my beautiful friend a quality of life that she would never had experienced. And thank you, darling Callum. We can remember taking my grandson up and you two playing together and catching crabs. Yeah, that was fun. Anyway, short and sweet, that was it. Thank you very much.
Well done.
Vicky, where is... Oh, here she comes.
I'm here on behalf of all Kay's friends. In remembering John. Kay, some of us may not have known you and John all the time you shared together, but we can honestly say that if there was ever two people more suited and meant to be for each other, it was you two. They say some of us can be lucky in finding our soulmate, sharing the good times and sometimes the very sad times, no matter what life challenges are thrown at you. We, your friends, have been lucky enough over the years to have shared some of those moments with you both. You wholeheartedly shared your life together with lots of very happy memories and precious moments that you will never forget. John was a true gentleman, such a kind man, always had a smile, always wanted to tell you a story or two of his experiences in life, some being very fascinating of his hard times in his early life as a young man. The more a person like John made our lives, the harder it is for all of us to let him go. We can only hope that all the wonderful memories you have, Kay, as well as our friendship you have around you, will support you through this very sad and difficult time, and maybe, just maybe, help you to wipe away the tears and you smile once more. John may not be with us now, but he'll always be with us in our hearts, especially yours and family. Love from your friends.
Wonderful tributes. And now, thinking about those tributes and the stories, we will now watch a photo presentation.
Oh, my love, my darling, I've hungered for your touch a long, lonely time. Then time goes by so slowly, and time can do so much. All you still more. I need your love. I need your love. God, speed your love to me. Lonely rivers flow to the sea, to the sea, to the open arms of the sea. Yeah. Lonely riverside, wait for me, wait for me. I'll be coming home, wait for me. Oh, my love, my darling, I've hungered for your touch. Oh, Lord, lonely time. God's big love to me. O Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When through the woods and forest glades I wander and hear the birds sing sweetly in the trees, when I look down from lofty mountain grandeur and hear the brook and feel the gentle breeze, then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. And when I think that God his Son not sparing sent him to die, I scarce can take it in, that on a cross, my burdens gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When Christ shall come with shout of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart. Then I shall bow in humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art, how great thou art, how great thou art.
has come along. My lonely days are over, and life is like a song. Oh yeah, yeah, at last the skies above are blue. My heart was wrapped up in clover. The night I looked at you, I found a dream that I could speak to, a dream that I can call my own. I found a thrill to press my cheek to, a thrill that I have never known. Oh yeah, yeah, you smile, you smile. Oh, and then the spell was cast, and here we are in heaven. For you are mine at last.
Not how did he die, but how did he live? Not what did he gain, but what did he give? These are the units to measure the worth of a man as a man, regardless of birth. Nor what was his church, nor what was his creed, but had he befriended those really in need? Was he ever ready with words of good cheer to bring back a smile, to banish a tear? Not what did the sketch in the newspaper say, but how many were sorry when John passed away. At this moment in time, it is fitting to acknowledge John's personal faith in God, and I invite you all to say with me or just reflect on the words of Psalm 23, "The Lord is my shepherd." The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. You have remembered John's life, and yet there is still so much to remember. You have celebrated his life, and yet there is still so much to celebrate. After this day, you will carry with you many precious memories. Cherish these memories because through them a part of John still lives with you. Be glad John lived. Be glad you saw his face and felt the pressure of his hand. Cherish his friendship and most of all, cherish his love. Be grateful for the life that has been lived and for all that life has meant to you. The following is a loving tribute from Loretta Kay, written by John Williamson. To hear your voice, to see your smile, to sit and talk with you a while, to be together in the same old way would be my only wish today. We laugh, we cry, we play our part, but behind it all lies a broken heart. We hide our tears when we speak your name. Without you, life's not the same. And now we come to the committal. Would those who are able please stand? John Geuernich, your life we honour, your departure we accept, your memory we cherish. In grief at your death, but in gratitude for your life and for the privilege of sharing it with you, we commit your body to be cremated. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. You may be seated, thank you. Rest now, John, at the end of your days. Your work is done. Rest in the hearts and the minds of all you love. Friends and family, we come to the final part of the service, but before we do, I'd like to read a poem which typifies John's dry sense of humour and love for fishing. I get through it without laughing. Sorry, it's good. It has its blessing from Loretta Kay. Right, this is from John. I've finished life's chores assigned to me, so I've put me on a boat, headed out to sea. Please send along my fishing rod, for I've been invited to the great fishing spot, where every day is a day to fish, to fill your heart with every wish. Don't worry or feel sad for me, I'm fishing with the master of the sea. We will miss each other for a while, but you will come and bring your smile. That won't be long, yet you will see, till we're together, you and me. To all of those that think of me, be happy as I go out to sea. If others wonder why I'm missing, just tell them I've gone fishing. I invite now the funeral director to come forward, and in saying that, may you find support in your love for one another, and may you find strength in your hearts to face the future. Amen. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the service today for the late John Geuernich. On behalf of Kay and her family, I'd like to thank you all for your attendance. Your love, friendship and support is greatly appreciated. After the service, anyone who would like tea, coffee or a light refreshment and a chance to reminisce over John's life may do so by joining the family at the other end of the building in the Moston Pool Lounge. Ladies and gentlemen, starting with the immediate family, if you'd like to place a tribute on John's coffin, could you please make your way to the front of the chapel? Thank you.
sogno l'orizzonte mancano le parole. Sì, lo so che non c'è luce in una stanza quando manca il sole. Se non ci sei tu con me su le finestre mostrar tutto il mio cuore che è acceso. Chiudi dentro me la luce che ho incontrato per strada. Time to say goodbye. Paesi che non ho mai veduto e vissuto con te. Adesso sì li vivrò con te. Partirò sulla vita per mari che io lo so non esistono più. It's time to say goodbye.
Quando sei lontana sogno all'orizzonte e manca le parole. E io sì lo so che sei con me, con me. Tu mia luna, tu sei qui con me. Mio sole, tu sei qui con me, con me.